I was never in this for the money. But it turns out that the money was an absolute necessity for me.
Hey, what's going on? And happy Wednesday. This is your local real estate agent here, Garage Joseph. I'm just here to inform, not to influence on what's going on here in this market when it comes to real estate. As always, I like to keep this short and simple, highlight a couple of articles that stood out to me when it comes to real estate, whether it's a commercial or retail side, a residential side also. Just want to share some information that I believe is relevant to know for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump into the first article that stood out to me on this day. All right. All right, so this article is called U.S. Foreclosure Activity Up from 2022. All right. Foreclosure filings, including default notices, scheduled auctions, and bank repossessions, were reported on 357,000 U.S. properties in 2023, up 10% from the previous year, basically up 10% from 2022. This information is coming from the data analytics company, Adam. The 2023 filings were down 28% from 2019 before the pandemic shook the markets. That's something to be mindful of and be aware of. Even though it went up 10% as far as foreclosure filings compared 2022 from 2023, is actually down 28% from 2019 versus the 23 filings. And if we continue with the reading, the 2023 foreclosure filings were also 88% from a peak of nearly 2.9 million in 2010. We all know in 2010, that's when we unfortunately went through the financial crisis here in the US, was the residential homes going through foreclosures, unfortunately. But fast forward, you put that in perspective, the number of filings compared to 2010 to 2023 is down 88%. So I say this just to say, when I have these conversations with my clients, they're like, oh, I want to find a great deal, possibly a property that's going through a foreclosure. I told them, hey, I'm not saying it's not possible. Just be mindful of, this is not 2010. This is not 2011. This is not 2012. This is 2023. So just something, just to be mindful of, unfortunately, foreclosure is just part of the way of things are. But reading directly from the CEO of this data analytical company is saying, reflecting on 2023, we see the recent rise in foreclosure activity as a market correction rather than a cause for alarm. A signal returns to more of a traditional pattern after years of volatility, which makes sense. So, we're kind of going back to more normalcy when it comes to seeing foreclosures here in the market, but nothing crazy compared to what we saw during the financial crisis almost 15 years ago now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the last article that stood out to me. All right, so this article is actually talking about some good news, some good stuff going on here in Florida. Economists, Florida outlook mostly sunny. This is the title of the article. It says the United States may be entering an economic slowdown in the coming months, but Florida's economy will be largely sheltered from the storm in 2024. After the 2008, 2009, and 2020 recession hit Florida's economy disproportionately hard, a slower national economy won't have the same devastating impact on the Sunshine State or the Tampa Bay and Gulf Coast regions. This is coming directly from the UCF, University of Central Florida, Dean Sheen Snat. While Florida's economy may slow some in 2024, our growth remained positive for the year. So that's what we need to hear, some good news on what's going on in 2024 here in Florida. All right, so keeping the overall economic outlook in mind, here are four predictions for how we'll fare in the coming year. All right, so they're saying that we're expecting to see a soft labor market, inflation woes. That's been the case for the past year or so, but this is one thing I want to kind of point out: even higher price homes. The housing market in Florida and Tampa Bay has seen a dramatic slowing of transaction, but the slowing has not translated into an easing of home prices. And even though this article is referencing Florida and Tampa Bay, but this really relates to all of Florida, especially in the South Florida market. The combination of high prices, high mortgage rates, and the homeowner insurance debacle has put the monthly payments needed for home ownership out of reach of an increasing number of potential home buyers. Inventories of the homes for sale remain depleted across the state, and even so much more in certain parts of the state. This shortage has prevented prices from softening despite the diminished demand. The housing market will remain a key challenge for the region economy throughout the 2024 and beyond. So, biggest takeaway is even though we have a pretty much of a steady and strong economy down here in South Florida, really more so throughout the whole state of Florida, when it comes to the real estate side of things, as far as home prices, basically the experts are saying that, hey, they're seeing things starting to slow down, but the reality is we still don't have enough supply versus the demand. And once rates continue to drop, and if they drop to a level where it allows more home buyers to come into the market, we all know simple economics 101, supply and demand. If you have more demand and not enough supply, what does that do? Increase the overall price of something. So just something to be mindful of. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys taking time out your Wednesday to listen to me.